basketball. It's been a very fertile recruiting ground for John Thompson the last few years. He will start 3 youngsters for the Hoyas whom he recruited in this city. And Billy Packer, what a front line Big John puts on the floor with this Georgetown team.
Well, he really does, Brandon. They're smashing every record in regard to shot blocking that's been in college basketball. They've got 2 fellas in particular, Mourning and Mutombo. Mourning, 5.5 a game. Mutombo broke his own single-game record with 13 blocks against St. John's. They're awesome inside.
Chris Jackson, though, brings a lot to the dance for LSU.
He reminds me a great deal of Calvin Murphy. Extremely quick. I think he's impacted more than any freshman in college basketball since freshman became eligible.
Billy, it's going to be so fascinating to watch how Jackson handles all that pressure that the Hoyas will throw at him. So coming up now, it'll be the Hoyas of Georgetown against the Tigers of LSU.
CBS Sports coverage of college basketball is sponsored by Coors Light. There's no slowing down with the Silver Bullet, the best light beer for a good long time. Sharp Electronics. From sharp minds come sharp products. And by Mazda cars and trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV.
The last time John Thompson stepped into the Superdome, he lost a classic NCAA championship to North Carolina. Here today against LSU, he will start 3 from New Orleans. Jaron Jackson being 1. He's the small forward. Jonathan Edwards replaces John Turner because Edwards was recruited out of New Orleans. The freshman sensation Alonzo Mourning is the center. Then in the backcourt, the team leader, and that is Charles Smith. But the improving guard is Dwayne Bryant. And because he's able to run the team now, that allows Smith to be the shooting guard. For Dale Brown, he comes in here with a team on the small size. He will have to do it with a change-up defensively and the experience of players like Ricky Blanton, who will start at that 1 forward spot. Size Wayne Sims is 6'7", and in the middle, Singleton is 6'6". Then in the backcourt, there's the star, Chris Jackson. He will be part of the unfolding story. Lyle Mouton, the off guard. Referees today are from the ACC. Stan Rote will toss it up. He'll work with Ed Edsall and Sam Croft. Captain pulled by the Hoyas, but it is off of Mourning's foot, and Bryant runs it back down, and he'll bring it up now in the first sequence.
Brent, we see LSU going to their 2-3 matchup zone. It's what they have to play almost standard fare here. The freak is out this year.
A young team. LSU relying more on offense. Smith after the fake. Nets the first shot of the afternoon. The Hoyas were here early to work on their shooting in this vast dome, Billy. They did not practice here yesterday, but LSU did.
1-2, 1-1 press with Alonzo Mourning all the way back as the stopper.
LSU's first shot. An offensive tap back by Sims, and he comes down with it again. That's something you didn't expect to see against that Hoya front line.
He's a wide body. Big game against Alabama. Coming on strong. Was an SEC all-freshman last year.
Mourning being fronted. And there is Smith hitting the 3.
He is carrying this ball club offensively, showing great leadership. And there's that 1-2, 1-1 press. What they may be able to get out of this if they let Blanton handle the ball is to get Jackson alone for 3-pointers down the sideline.
Brown's plan is to keep Jackson away from that pressure as much as possible. Ball knocked out of bounds by Georgetown. John Thompson arguing that it was hit last by LSU, but Big John loses this one.
Shows Jonathan Edwards showing that quickness to go out there and double team.
Here is Jackson, the shooting sensation. Scored 53 in one game earlier against Florida.
Doesn't want to pick up that dribble against Bryant that far away from the basket.
Singleton with Mouton. Mouton, well-built pull-up jump shot. Sims again underneath doing a job, but this one comes down in the arms of Jaron Jackson. Lead for Smith is short. Mouton with the interception. And Sims is right back. He's got the jump shot.
Got a good soft jumper, Brand. He can move outside even to the 3-point range.
1-point lead by the Hoyas. All 5 points by Smith. He goes again for his second 3. He's 3 of 3. He has scored the Hoyas' first 8 points.
How do you like that follow-through on that jumper? And to think he was recruited as a defensive specialist. Is Jackson cool, Brad? He's just going through the motions here.
Singleton hits the last. They go all the way against that Hoya pressure.
Dale Brown's clubs have played 100-point games often this year. They only won one of them, but when they let teams score over 100, they have a problem. But you can see they're taking it right at that press. The hole is in the middle of that zone. If Alonzo Mourning will move up, they're shooting right at it.
It was missed by Georgetown, and that was Bryant. Edwards has Sims hustling over, and the first foul of the game is called, and it made Coach Dale Brown unhappy. Well, there will be a change atop the Associated Press top 10. Illinois picked off by Clem Haskins in Minnesota, so Georgetown, sitting number 2, could vault to 1 with a win here. And everybody now talking about Georgetown and Louisville becoming certainly 2 big favorites for Seattle. The alley-oop. Backdoor, and Jackson gets it down.
Set play against that zone coming from the weak side, and it's hard for that back line to be able to see it.
There's Jackson spinning with his dribble, pounded by 2. That leaves Mouton alone against the double team. Mourning's rebound. Here comes Bryant. Snap pass. Mouton intercepts again. Mouton brings it right back. 3-on-2 to Singleton.
Oh,
beautiful wraparound.
And that was against Alonzo Mourning. Used the left hand and the rim.
Mourning pressing inside, and he has turned it over.
You'll see a good pass by Mouton, his second steal of the day. Nice hit. Singleton will go. He sees Alonzo Mourning, takes it right under, uses the left hand and the rim to shield him off.
Singleton from Natchez, Mississippi. He's a 6'6" freshman. Mourning sits down after the traveling call, and they bring in Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo, and he is called by Coach John Thompson Deke.
They go back to a man-to-man pickup there. Jackson goes right around him.
With the threes and goes to the glass with the layup.
Second time we've seen a player use the rim to shield off the shot blocker.
Game is tied at 10.
Boy, a lot of openings in the center. Charles Smith wants to be there.
They're giving Bryant the outside shot. They're going to make him prove that he can hit it. But they do tighten up on Smith, don't they, defensively?
This Georgetown club can surround you with Jaren Jackson and Smith for jumpers. He really knows how to put that ball between his legs effectively, better than anybody I've seen in a while. And there you can see, Mutombo actually blocked the rim, but the rim stopped him from touching the ball. Great play.
Georgetown 4 of 5 from the field, and LSU 5 of 9.
Changing up a little bit now. That zone is matching up out front.
Jackson up over the top. His second field goal and a 3.
Greg, you mentioned Louisville and Georgetown, 2 of the big improvements in their game this year, and the reason I think they're so dangerous, they do have that perimeter shot now.
That's his third field goal. And timeout is being called. It's an official's timeout, so we'll take a break at the 15:43 mark. Hoyas lead it by 1 with their three-point shooting. Georgetown hitting 3 of 4 from the threes. We want to show you Dwayne Shinsius the other night at Vanderbilt. The tennis balls tossed on the court with 2 seconds to go. Florida was trailing Vanderbilt, so the technical foul is called on the crowd. And Shinsius sends the game into overtime. And in overtime, Florida puts it away. Game, set, and match. 81-78.
You know who one of his #1 backers is of all, surprisingly? It's John Thompson. He thinks Dwayne Shinsius can be quite a player despite all the problems he's had, and it shows the type of competitor he is as he hit those 2 free throws to put that game into OT.
Mutombo and Turner continue in the game down low. Smith is out here, but they have brought Tillman in off the bench. Jackson handling the ball. And this is Smith, and he continues to blaze away. That's a total of 10 points for Charles Smith, a member of the United States Olympic team, great team leader, and someone whom NBA scouts are now starting to take very, very seriously. Jackson losing it. He's turned it over.
He got it caught on his hip that time, but broke the press. One of the things that he can do is run full speed and still dribble at the same time, a la Petey Maravich, who was the great LSU player, and Calvin Murphy, who reminds me so much of the way Jackson played.
Billy, we saw the St. John's score there briefly against Connecticut. Jason Williams not playing. He got into a fight with John Turner, and some may be wondering why is Turner playing here. That's a Big East rule, and Turner will sit out Wednesday night's game against Seton Hall. That game in Landover, as contact foul underneath is called. And so Turner will sit out the one game against Seton Hall, and Williams missing the game today against Connecticut. That's how that rule works in the Big East Conference.
And Brent, though, that suspension will count on the NCAA rule, so that his second, if he were to get in a second altercation, he would have to sit one based on NCAA rules, and then obviously the third, it's a long season for him.
Sims.
What's happening now, as you can see, LSU's offensive thrust is to shoot the ball on the perimeter, both against the press and when they get half court.
Mouton fouled Smith as he began to penetrate down the lane. I may have left the impression just a moment ago that there was a foul down there. I don't want to leave that there was on Turner. That was a 3-second violation down on the inside on the turnover previous to this one. Now, this was the foul call.
But you can see that Charles Smith recognizes that defense so well.
Out of bounds on the far side. It'll go over.
Tillman didn't realize he was standing out of bounds actually when he caught the ball. But what Charles Smith is going to start to do in my mind now is to penetrate against that 2-3 matchup with the dribble.
Mark Tillman out of the Washington, D.C. area. Jackson pull up. Front of the iron. Smith looking for an open man, works off the dribble again. Is he unconscious? Unbelievable. That's 13 points now for Smith. He's 5 of 5.
Of course, in our last game at CBS, he played against the ball and had 37.
Mouton comes around. A foul is called on the rebound. And for Sims, that is his second personal foul. When you think of LSU Georgetown, certainly you must remember the tournament shot of Charles Smith.
Now that one
last year that won the game. It was a three-pointer off the glass with time running down.
He hasn't come close to touching anything today. Every shot he's put up has gone straight through.
Morning back end. Bryant just has it knocked away and out of bounds by Singleton.
Singleton plays that wing very well. Good anticipation on his part.
Thompson again continuing to rotate players. LSU not nearly as deep. Dennis Tracy, a backup walk-on guard, has checked into the game. He's hounding Smith right now. LSU cannot afford to get into foul trouble with any of their regulars.
And they've changed to a man-to-man defense now for the first time. 5 seconds. Great job by Tracy. It's amazing to think a kid could walk on and become the key reserve for a team at this level of competition.
LSU has forced Georgetown into 6 turnovers already in this game. LSU trails it by 4. Jackson coming in, and Morning stayed right with him. Fakes the pass. Now it is Bryant at the other end. Knocked away by Sims. Lead to Jackson and out of bounds on the turnover.
Tracy had the right idea, but he had Chris right away. Takes it down the middle. Excellent block on the inside. Now you watch Tracy. Picks up the ball. He had Jackson wide open the other end, but didn't recognize him.
Blanton is working on Alonzo Mourning. Remember when Ricky Blanton as a center led LSU into a Final Four. He went up against the likes of Purvis Ellison and some other great big men. Tillman is short.
Good
ball saved by Mourning.
Well, that was a stretch with Bedford.
Here's Turner. Mourning got a hand on it, out of bounds. LSU's ball. Seton Hall for real this year and headed for the NCAA tournament, and they figure to be a factor in the Big East tournament in March, and Madison Square Garden too. Are playing very well, and on Wednesday night they'll take on the Hoyas. Sims, and here comes Smith. 3-on-2.
Better stop the ball. Brent, you can't stop a great player if he's got the ball. don't have to worry about anybody else. Smith had that ball for 60 feet. Now you got Charles Smith going against Chris Jackson.
Blanton bangs in a three.
Georgetown a little confused defensively that time, and good recognition by LSU.
2017, and Tracy tells Smith, and now it's Jackson. One-on-one, gets inside and draws the foul.
Now he went full speed that time, put the ball between his legs, and then wrapped it back around to gain the advantage against the defender. One of the things you wonder about, how can a kid by Mississippi develop all of these offensive fundamentals? He's got great block by Tracy. Now watch Jackson. He's going to put the ball between his legs, then bring it back over on the other side and one-handed on in. Although he misses the layup, shows you how quick and how great he is with that ball.
Billy, doesn't the upbeat tempo in a game like this favor Georgetown? Can LSU afford, as a smaller team, to get into a running game up and down with the Hoyas here this afternoon?
Well, it's probably, it's a good news, bad news story for them. They don't have any bench, but they can't afford to get into a power game, so maybe by keeping things wide open, they have a chance to hang in there.
And that's the kind of game it's been so far. We've got a timeout. Next, Dale Brown in his 17th season as head of the Tigers at LSU. His size not eligible this year because of Proposition 48. In fact, several of the youngsters are over behind the LSU bench here this afternoon. We get a chance to take a shot of them. On the floor right now for John Thompson, who continues to juggle his lineup. Winston is checked in. Ryan takes it down to the left baseline and hits the field goal. Smith, Mourning, Bryant, and Jackson on the floor right now for the Hoyas. The only substitution for LSU has been Tracy, number 13. Wanted to set a pick on the right side for Jackson, and now he gives it up on the pass. Knocked out of bounds by Jackson. LSU's ball.
Jackson trying to set up this little solid screen at the side. He's looking for a wingman to set the solid screen. Georgetown changing their defenses right now. Playing a 1-3-1. Bobby Winston's running the baseline. Good move by Georgetown. Changes the pace of this game. Takes away some perimeter shooting.
Sims was short. Hoyas ball. Winston didn't have a break opportunity. Three-pointer by Jackson misses, and Smith gets the long rebound.
Charlie Smith broke his career record with 9 rebounds against St. John. Lonzo wants a shot.
Foul underneath. That was Winston positioning himself for the rebound.
Because, Brent, LSU is a small team, they're fundamentally very sound with their blockout techniques. You mentioned before about Ricky Blanton with his great ability to guard centers, and we talked about Bedford, Sally, Walker, Ellison did a great job in that NCAA tournament, but he can play in any position.
Tracy tried to draw the charge. Jackson pulls it up and hits the three.
He can put it between his legs and have it ready to shoot better than anybody I've seen in a while.
Bryant came up on Jackson and drew the foul. And near the conclusion of this game, we'll select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game for each team, and in their honor, Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of LSU and Georgetown. That, of course, is coming up a little bit later. Chris Jackson, always a candidate for that honor when he scored 53 against Florida. 27 were in the last 10 minutes. Against Maryland, he hit 15 of LSU's final 17 points. And against Kentucky, their last 16. Now he's committed his first personal foul, putting Dwayne Bryant at the line.
Nice little switch by Dale Brown, though, to go man-to-man. He doesn't want to let Georgetown decipher that 2-3 zone to the point that they've got all the holes, so he switches defense.
Georgetown bothered at the line.
Georgetown not a good free throw shooting team, and that's been something that's been with them for quite some time.
Difficult shooting background. You can see that they shoot into that vast emptiness. And it has been hard. Certainly Syracuse fans will never forget Howard Trish missing the front end against Indiana that night. In and out, and Mourning down on the inside. Foul is called with the rebound against the freshman sensation.
Brent, that's a great play against the 2-3 matchup zone to break one of your wing players right across the middle. Wide open shots are available. They can do it with Smith. They can do it with Tillman, Jaron Jackson, anybody quick coming across there.
2 team fouls at Georgetown. That was the 5th against LSU.
Good play by Georgetown on the out-of-bounds situation. You see a lot of teams getting beat trying to play man-to-man out of bounds.
Tillman credited with the field goal. 24-22. Hoyas are up by 2. Fake by Jackson. The 3 won't stay down, but there's Blanton. Game is tied.
Did he show you a little bit there about how to shield using your body, a shot blocker? Alonzo Mourning could not get to him. Again, Ricky Blanton, unbelievable inside player considering size. Now look at how he uses his body, puts the ball back out on his right hand, no way for it to be blocked. So far today, I guess Alonzo's touched 1. That's about the end of the shot blocking.
LSU up by a point. Ricky Blanton's 3-point play gives the Tigers their first lead with 9 minutes and 30 seconds before a crowd could break the all-time attendance record. They've already sold more tickets than for any game. Jackson weaving his way inside the paint area. And now the Hoyas jump back into the lead.
Now you want to go man-to-man some to change up, but the problem for Dale Brown playing too much man-to-man is the fact that he's going to wear his club down, and everybody knows that this starting 5 has to go almost 40 minutes. Tracy being the only player that can spell him a few minutes.
Singleton gives it back to Blanton. Foul on the shot. Good rebound by Smith. If there's anything that's a surprise so far in this game, it's how well LSU has done on the glass here so far against the Hoyas.
Georgetown rebound margin against opponents amazing, and LSU's actually being out-rebounded by their opponents so far this year. So, Brent, your point is well taken here.
There's Sims again. With a high arc. He's intimidated by Mourning, but there was Singleton. Has it stripped clean by Tillman. Now it's Jackson in a foot race, trying to get into the running game. Pull-up misses, and Jackson fouled that time.
I really thought Jaron Jackson had been better off taking that ball to the middle, let somebody come in behind him. You pull up for that kind of jumper, you have no rebounding opportunity at all.
John Thompson goes to his bench. Mourning will come out again, and Mutombo replaces him. Alonzo sits down. Turner will work alongside Mutombo. Tillman, Jackson, and Bryant. Georgetown's rebounding edge, only 1 in this game, 12-11 right now. Bryant taking Jackson. Sims pops out, and Tillman fouls it.
What Jackson is talking to Sims, he wants him to clear out a little bit for him so he can go on by Bryant.
5 team fouls apiece, and that is the second personal on Tillman. We've got a timeout. We'll be right back to New Orleans. More than 66,000 tickets have been sold for this game. LSU surprising Georgetown, and that's how we got to this point in the game. Sims with 10 points and 4 of LSU's rebounds. Charles Smith has been 6 of 7 from the field, and when the Hoyas have turned it over, LSU has taken advantage of it. 8 points off those 6 turnovers.
Brent, here's a little different defense again. Look at Mutombo coming all the way out.
Jackson was short. Mutombo with control, and now the Hoyas will come down.
Tracy not realizing they went back to the zone. He was playing man-to-man. Good job by Jackson to let him know.
Half-court game for the Hoyas. They'll see what they can set up. They're without Alonzo Mourning, who has not scored in the game so far. The 3-point shot by Jaron Jackson. Some of you might be a little bit confused about the lines on the floor. You say that wasn't behind the line. There is also an NBA line on the floor here. Singleton with the wrap hold again. Second time he's hit that shot underneath with the left hand. Total of 6 points for him. It's that white line. It's the three-point line in the college game here. Knocked out of bounds.
Good job by Sims and Singleton on that block. Now here he goes again. Second time today. Mutombo is getting tired of blocking that rim. That's the second time he's been able to put his hand on the rim. The only problem, the ball was on the other side.
The other surprise in this game, LSU has blocked more shots already than Georgetown. It's 3-1. Tillman couldn't hit the penetration, but gets it back. This again, and there was contact underneath, a foul against LSU. That was Singleton. That is his second personal, Billy.
Singleton doing a good job on the boards considering his size, just a freshman. And as everybody knows, LSU was considered by most people last year to have one of the great recruiting classes. Stanley Roberts, the 7-footer, Maurice Williamson, and Harold Bordeaux. So all of those fellows will be joining this team next year. Be without seniors, but very, very talented. See, back to the 2-3 matchup. It allows them to rest a little bit.
Intercepted by Blanton and stolen right back by Jackson. He'll get to the easy layup.
Ricky Blanton doesn't make many mistakes mentally. That was one because they had two the other way. Changed their defenses again. That time Turner was a little confused.
He thought the press was on.
Yep.
Found himself all alone back there defensively as Charles Smith returns for the Hoyas.
Well, we see so many of the top teams now going with rotations of 9 and 10 people. Louisville, Georgetown, Oklahoma. North Carolina has always used a lot of people. Look at Mutombo. Does he present a problem for you out there in this defense?
4 of the Tigers have played the entire first half. Mouton, number 21 with the ball, has returned. Sims again, who's doing a superb job on the inside. That is 12 points for him.
If Mutombo's going to go out that far, you can see how well LSU picked it up, and they just sent Sims back down low. Nobody there to block his shot. Jackson has to be aware of where Smith is at all times and give up the shots on others.
Mutombo underneath, being Harris, double teamed. LSU goes in and does a great job defensively of hustling for the jump ball, and it'll go over. It is LSU's possession arrow.
One of the things Mutombo will learn as he gets more experience, and we know that he has not had a great deal of experience, is to keep the ball up in the air. See, when he brought it down, he became the same size as Mouton, and that's where he loses all the great advantage he had.
Score is tied. Georgetown 31, LSU 31.
It's a solid screen.
Jackson protected beautifully by Turner, and as Smith went back in to grab it, he was fouled, and that's 2 fouls on Chris Jackson. Well, tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, CBS Sports will present Winterfest. Highlighting the Winterfest will be the 1989 European Figure Skating Championships, plus the reports on the cross-country skier Bill Koch and the alpine skier Tamara McKinney. That's tomorrow at noon Eastern on CBS. Koch once was a great skier himself, and now is the coach as the winter sports athletes get ready for Albertville in 1992.
Chris Jackson talking to himself a little bit, thought he got fouled on the play. I just thought it was great defense by Turner, recognizing that Jackson was coming off that solid screen. He timed it perfectly.
Turner trying to pound it back in, was fouled after Smith missed the free throw.
You kind of get the sense right now that LSU is dragging a little bit. They've been out there the whole time. We're going against a very fresh player since the outset. Dale Brown would like to see this next 5 minutes go by in a hurry so he can get him in for a halftime rest.
He also has a problem here with Singleton. That is 3 personals, and Dale will have to go to his bench.
And that becomes a problem, obviously.
Kurt Hammack of the Netherlands will check in. He's 6'11". He's an unpolished freshman. So he gives Dale a big body on the inside, but more importantly, he must rest Singleton with a 3 personal. Georgetown looking for its first successful free throw.
Oh, and that, even though that one went in, that was a little shaky on the release. They're like Syracuse. That's really a bad problem for him going to that foul line.
Bryant hounding Jackson, making him work on the dribble. And the foul is against Jackson. That's his first.
That's a nice two-man game over there when they go with Blanton and Sims, because either one can step out and pass the ball to the other one in the low post. Tough to defend that.
Well, here we are with 5 minutes to go in the first half, and Alonzo Mourning has yet to score for the Hoyas. Hammock not even looking for the shot. Jackson will.
He ought to keep his dribble alive because he's got Turner on, and they ought to get the ball back to him. He could probably take him.
Here's Sims. 14 points for Sims here this afternoon. He came in averaging only 13 a game. Already exceeding his average. They forced the turnover. Here's Jackson for the layup.
He's had a couple of those today. They just didn't get him the ball.
Timeout. The Superdome in New Orleans. 66,000. Most of them enjoying it.
Superdome coming up at halftime on the road to the Final Four. I'll have scores and highlights from around the country today. Pat Summerall will bring us the latest on golf from Pebble Beach. And in Houston, there were 50,000 at that game, but 2 million say they saw the contest. I'll tell you how coming up at halftime on the road to the Final Four. Let's go back to Brent.
That's always the way it is, James. 2 million. If it had been a bad game, nobody would have admitted being there. But it was the classic, wasn't it? Elvin Hayes, Lou Alcindor in those days before he changed his name. And here we are breaking that attendance record. 66,000 plus tickets sold, and they're watching a good one right now. LSU leading favored Georgetown as this shot is short, and Jackson gets inside for the rebound. They work it back to Smith.
Good job by Mouton coming out. Boy, just great defense that time by LSU. You would have a tendency to charge at Charles Smith. Mouton came out under control and took away the jump shot.
That's the 10th turnover on that 3-second violation.
Brett, so far LSU really has thrown Georgetown off stride.
Tip ball, but into Jackson's hand. Here is Blanton. Pass to Sims on the inside. He's done a great job underneath with 16 points against Mourning and Mutombo and Edwards. They tried all three against him on the inside. They've been unable to stop him here so far.
Very unselfish passing by LSU. Jackson gave up a chance to penetrate. So did Blanton.
Inside Mouton that time. And now Smith with 17 points. But his first 15 all came in the first 8 minutes. So he's been quiet. On the turnover, Jackson gets it back to Smith, who is fouled by Mouton.
Mouton almost made an incredible steal. Now what's happening there? Jackson is trying to break long. Watch him backdoor against this press. But the pass is lazy. And that's the second time Georgetown's been able to pick one off and convert. The right idea by Jackson to break backdoor against the press, but Mouton's got to deliver the ball.
Billy, do you see any fatigue with Chris Jackson, the way they have hounded him here in the first half?
No, I don't. I believe he's the kind of kid that can go all game long. I see inside Blanton and Mouton being a little bit tired.
At the line, shooting 1-1.
Usually one of your tip-offs is when a player bends over and grabs his shorts, which is what Jackson is doing right now behind Smith.
You know, one of the things I like about him is he lets the game come to him. He hasn't forced anything here today. He's on national TV and for 60,000 people. He has not tried to put the ball and go one-on-one against the system. And as you pointed out earlier, Brent, he has had some incredible offensive runs down the stretch of big games so far as a freshman. Some of those away from home, so he's got a lot of moxie.
Sims back to help out. Gets it into Jackson's hands. They're trying to take it the distance, and Smith almost with a great steal, but the ball was out of bounds. LSU's ball. Smith all right.
Charles Smith, gutty ball player, does the right thing. Comes from the blind side. Jackson couldn't have anticipated at all that he'd be there. And Charles goes over everybody. Tracy, who did a good job for a few minutes the last time in there. Not an offensive threat. Does a nice job defensively.
Mourning's rebound. Mourning still looking for his first points in this game. Anthony Allen, who has checked in for Thompson with the pull-up from the left baseline. His first field goal pulls the Hoyas ahead, 38-37.
This is really, again, 3 different people have guarded Jackson so far. There's a great help by Smith. Took away the jumper when Jackson had Mark Bryant beat.
Jackson comes back to the right, knocked away by Allen, and there is Sims off the fake, right back with the shot.
You know something about him, Brent? He's got the wide body, so you can't get real close to him. And if you're a shot blocker as Alonzo Mourning, you get thrown off track because of his ability to arch that high jumper.
I believe there was some ice thrown on the floor. That's why the horn was blown, and now the crowd is being warned here. One of the ball boys runs out of the floor.
Don't ruin a spectacle by one person's stupidity of throwing ice on the floor, please.
Well, it seems that we have coaches around the country that have to go to that microphone, unfortunately. Bob Knight did it last week up at IU. Now Dale Brown takes the mic. I think what they're going to have to do is send some people to the exits when they find them doing it. Maybe they'll let them concentrate on the game a little more. Goes back to their man-to-man. They change up every once in a while.
Bryant. And here's Tracy again. Getting it into Jackson's hands. Sims ships it into Blanton, and he was fouled by Jackson.
We're going to see a good solid screen on the inside. Tracy trying to come over the top. Strong kid. He puts Allen right on the floor.
That was a Hoya sandwich they made him right there, Bill.
You know, Dale Brown made an interesting statement the other day. He said playing against the Georgetown team with all their defensive pressure is like playing a team that screams a lot. And you think of Indiana, you know, they constantly screening, constantly pressing on one end of the floor. He says it sends a tempo with the referees that throws them somewhat off stride. So far today, obviously, that press has not hurt LSU at all.
But it hasn't been Blanton or Jackson who's been the star here for Dale Brown in the first half. It's been the unknown Wayne Sims, 6'7" sophomore, who has poured in 20 points.
His biggest game double-wise is 25 and 12 against Vandy, points and rebounds.
Great first step. And Tracy fouled him after he got past. Well, coming up next on CBS Sports, third-round coverage of the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. Mark O'Meara with a 2-stroke lead.
Read that last play by Charles Smith shows he's got the full package. That was a change off the pass. He can put the ball on the floor and dribble by. He's got the outstanding shot so he can extend the defense. One of our Olympians, and always has that same exposure on his face, the same reaction. All business.
You see that shield on Smith's jersey there? That is the bicentennial shield that all the Hoyas are wearing on their uniform this year.
What's that?
83% free throw shooter. That's why they want him with the ball in his hands at the end of the game. Here comes the press again. Man-to-man press. They've had a much better time against the man-to-man than they've had against that zone press.
Great turn step by Jackson. And he was fouled while the ball was put on the floor. And John Thompson saying that's a touch foul. How can you call that one? He just tapped his hand.
John working that official a little bit because he doesn't want that to be the pattern of this game. So you make it be known on the first one that's called.
Boy, it'd be hard to defend Jackson. Did you see that quickness with which he turned to the left side? Wow.
Brent, I was mentioning before, a kid from Mississippi, where does he get these type of drills? And in addition to being very well coached in high school, obviously, he gets them off of television, watching guys like Dr. J and Michael Jordan, and then tries to emulate those drills at a full-speed pace. He has it down to a science. Doesn't miss many free throws. He's a good free throw shooter, over 85%.
LSU leading by 1 point, 41-40. Stolen by nicely.
Good defending.
Now Jackson. After missing the free throw, he comes back with the field goal. 11 points in the first half. LSU up by 3. Georgetown's only loss this year was to Seton Hall. That game was played in the Meadowlands. If Georgetown wins this afternoon, it's expected that they'll be voted #1 in all the polls. And he travels. It's going to go over to the Tigers.
And Brett, what was interesting in that Meadowlands game, that game set an all-time attendance record for college basketball in the state of New Jersey. So maybe that's what it takes to knock off the Hoyas.
The entire sport of basketball is red hot right now, isn't it? Worldwide. NBA, college game. And he's turned it over. Out of bounds, it'll go to the Hoyas. That's the 6th turnover for LSU here in the first half.
Now, what Jackson's going to have to recognize is when he beats his man on the perimeter, Georgetown is running a man straight up at him for the double team. That time it was Bobby Winston. Oh, that's Sims. Stupid.
He elbowed Mourning away. The ball was headed right in his direction, so one of the 3 officials had to be looking. Something probably happened down at the other end, and then Sims came back foolishly up here and committed his 3rd personal foul, and LSU can ill afford to be without him.
Well, it was not a smart play at all. Dale Brown shaking his head, kind of upset with Sims. That's about the only thing he's done wrong this entire first half. And with just 56 seconds to go, that was a big, big foul.
Richard Krzyzewski checks in. He's a sophomore from Grafton, North Dakota. He set out his first year because of Proposition 48. And Mourning gets on the scoreboard. That's his first point, and it came with 56 seconds remaining here in the first half.
Brent, I think LSU right now would be smart, even though there's 56, they've got 11 seconds more on the time clock than the shot clock. They'd be smart to hold this thing right on down, not allow Georgetown to have one more possession.
Missing that free throw. Ball stays hot. It lasts by LSU. Now that's where the loss of Sims really hurt. He could have been down on the inside, and the veteran might not have lost it out of bounds. Now the Hoyas get it, a chance to at least tie it with a 2-point and take the lead with a 3. Mutombo checks in to give him a little bit extra rebounding underneath.
That was a good job by Milton Bell to keep that ball alive. Another outstanding freshman in the Georgetown ranks. Georgetown wanted to take advantage here. Again, they'll have to give up the ball. There's 7 seconds differential. So LSU will get it back at least once. I think this favors LSU for Georgetown to hold the ball a little bit. Well, Tracy's getting his hands on everything.
Right to Bellu travel. He travels going to the glass. He was so anxious to score the layup that he took that extra first step, and with 22 seconds, the Hoyas turn it over.
That's a great dish on the inside, though, by Smith. Bell's going to be an outstanding player. It's just a matter of getting more time. Mouton back in, Brent. You see that Dale Brown wanting to hold it, and you can believe Jackson's going to get a chance to put up something.
Tillman hounding Jackson. They'll try to break him free. Here's Mouton looking for him. He'll straight and go on in and draw the foul. He drew it on Mutombo. That's his first.
Although they want to attack this press, I think it would have been very smart to hold it for the last shot of the half. Jackson's got 2 fouls on him. You don't want him in any further foul trouble. Sims already sitting over there with 3.
Into the game for the Hoyas, number 21.
Jackson returns.
Into the game for the Tigers, number 14, Kyle.
And number 14, Kyle McKenzie out of Cincinnati checks in for the Tigers.
And you can see that Jackson goes out. A very smart move by Dale Brown. You've got 17 seconds to go. He's got 2. You don't want him to have to play in the defensive end of the floor. I wouldn't be surprised to see, though, if Dale gets it again, to put him back in and let him take 1 shot on the offensive end.
How shrewd is Ricky Blanton as Alonzo Mourning checks back in? Blanton has played the entire first half here without picking up a single personal. He scored 8 points.
Went last year an all-SEC performer, the coach's choices.
44-41 with 17 seconds to go. Well, it'll be Smith looking for the 3 right now if he can find it.
for that last shot. Down to
Jackson penetrates, gets it to Mourning. Mourning with the jump hook, and that's the end of the first half. Now, the first half comes to an end. LSU 44, Georgetown 41. And CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
The biggest thing is the fact in the first half LSU shot 54% against Georgetown. Georgetown number 4 in the nation percentage defense. So LSU really found some openings there. They go back to their 2-3 zone.
Lonzo Mourning trying to get off the blocks on the inside here for the Hoyas and give them some punch. Jackson this time on the pull-up misses and gets it back. So another rebound for Georgetown.
Sure, an explosive scorer inside. Alonzo Mourning and Turner are going to have to find out where the holes are in that zone. They're not moving up into the openings. They're staying back with the backline people. That's why they're not touching the ball. See if Alonzo will just break to the ball a little bit.
Smith's quickness gets him on the inside, and he banks one off the glass and cuts LSU's lead to 1 point here. And now the pressure.
23 for Charles Smith.
Blanton, and they get it into Sims, and it's rejected by Mourning.
Beautiful touch pass by Ricky Blanton.
Here's Turner, and he is stuffed by Singleton.
I think it was a big Sims coming in there. They took a chance.
You're right, it was Sims. I thought it was Singleton, but you're right, Billy.
Could have been his fourth.
And here is Sims right back with that high arc. Couldn't get it to fall this time. Off the dribble, Charles Smith.
Oh, beautiful play. Now, that may have been a carry. See, a lot of players nowadays just palming that ball in their hand to get that little delayed step. That's what Charles Smith did on that one.
Never a carry when Michael Jordan's going to the glass.
Well, we're talking about a different sport now.
Here's Chris Jackson in, and that one was tapped by Mourning. He got a piece of it. Smith to the floor, scrambling, and Mouton with a hand on it. LSU's ball. Singleton. And here is Chris Jackson up over the top.
Well, that's the first time today that LSU's been able to convert on one of those steals. Georgetown's been able to get 2 of theirs. And you can see that, I'm sure Dale Brown talked to his club at halftime, said when we're playing that 2-3 zone, make sure you match up with Smith. Smith hurt a little bit here.
He's 9 of 11 from the field. With the clock stopped, Tracy checks in, and Mouton sits down for LSU.
Looks like he lost his breath. Might have just got hit one time. Now, it's got to be a charged timeout if he doesn't come out of there. John's got to get another man in. Yep.
And it will be Tillman replacing him. Smith might have knocked the wind out when he went to the floor scrambling for that loose ball down at the other end, Billy. It's possible.
Now, there's a case. Good piece of officiating. The man looked like he's injured, but that you can't be injured and then stay in the ball game unless you get charged with a timeout.
Traveling against Jackson. That's 16 turnovers on the Hoyas. LSU ahead by 1, 46-45. North Carolina with that strong inside game now, and quickly Smith returns to the Hoya lineup.
Now that saved John a timeout. For a 3-second substitution pattern. See if Jackson can get unwound here in the second half with his jump shot.
On the pull-up. That's 2 of 2 for the freshman sensation. 15 points, and Bryant to the floor, saves it, gets it into Smith's hands.
Tracy causing a lot of problems out there on that defensive end of the floor.
He wrote Coach Brown a letter to get a tryout. He came over on Jackson that time. Jackson gets it back. Tracy in behind him, and they ship it Smith, and there was a 3-second violation. That is 3 lane violations against the Hoyas in this game.
You know, sometimes we get on the officials. I think in this particular game, considering everything, you know, the crowd, the intensity, they're really keeping this game under control beautifully.
It's a crew from the ACC working it, not the Big East or the Southeastern Conference.
Singleton's been quiet.
Blanton on top, puts it down off the dribble. smooth-looking shot. Ricky Blanton.
That's that special play that Dale Brown will run. Swings Blanton over from that high post.
LSU builds a 5-point lead. That ties its highest of the game. LSU's ball, and John needs a timeout. Winterfest is tomorrow. Coach Dale Brown of LSU is wearing a wireless microphone for us on the sideline this afternoon.
Dennis and Chris are going to play the guards man-to-man. You three guys are going to play a zone, okay? He's got who? 12. But you play off of 12. Well, let's see. We can let him just play in the zone kind of. You play man-to-man, and you play a one-man zone out front, okay? You three, in other words, we're going to let him take Smith.
What I think is, it's incredible how this guy can get it done the way he does it. He's actually talking about playing a box and one, but it started out developing a new defense right in the timeout.
One of the most democratic huddles we have ever eavesdropped on.
But, you know, they're all listening, and I'm anxious to see what they eventually end up playing when they get down the other end.
Jackson with that quickness is fouled by Bryant. That's 3 fouls on Bryant.
And Brent, the thing that I really get out of listening to the timeouts is that, and the thing that you realize the more you're around basketball, there are so many different ways to coach the game. You know, there's the Pete Newells, the Bob Knight types, and the Dean Smiths, and the final product, I think, is what is the key here. And Dale Brown has his own way of doing it.
LSU's ball.
But Sims is having, with the exception of the foul trouble, and he can't afford to pick up that fourth. He's having a great all-around game.
Hey, Billy, how often does chaos take over in basketball?
Well, those could almost be sold as a video cassette. Those timeout situations.
Traveling, he's turned it over.
Now let's check out this defense. Everybody who was in the timeout.
What'd you say, you wanted a freak in one?
Well, no, the freak is out this year. He said this team doesn't understand the freak, so he's created his own. He's got 3 guys playing his own. He told Jackson, well, maybe you can as well. Charles Smith is supposed to be guarded man-to-man by Tracy, but now let's see. It looks like to me like they're playing 3 guys zone, and Jackson's playing man-to-man. Let's go.
Jackson, and he's fouled. Here come to the free throw line. Jackson telling the ref that was a nice call.
And you know the thing, if you're an assistant coach, you're supposed to go out and scout these teams. So you're sitting there and you're trying to diagram, okay?
Right.
You say, I got it. I know what they're in. I've got this. It's a diamond, and, you know, and you just don't know with Dale. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons if I were him, I wouldn't be mic'd up. I don't want people to know.
No, but I'll tell you something about him. And he's dropping, and I listened, I think it was ESPN that had him mic'd for a Kentucky game, I think that I heard, and I was listening to the tape the other day. I'll tell you one thing about him, Billy. If you're a player for him, you understand him at least. I mean, he makes things very clear. He may change his mind in the huddle, but by the time you break out of it, there's nothing magical in his approach over there. I think he communicates extremely well in that regard. And they're going to sit Singleton down right now, Billy. They're going to go to that bench and get him out of there.
You know, Hammock played a solid minutes in that first half.
4 fouls.
Yep.
Now it's Jackson at the line. We've got a 5-point LSU lead. Georgetown was favored by, I think, as many as 7. Wound up in Mourning's hands, and he did that with authority. That's his first field goal of the game.
Sims had to lay off him. He didn't want to take a chance of picking up that fourth. Smart play. You know, Sims paid his own way to school. He's a Prop 48, paid his own way, so he actually is going to get the full 4 years, which I think everybody is opposed to that situation. That's been changed in NCAA rules.
Jackson is such a magnificent performer. He's had 3 different Hoyas on him. He goes to the outside, missed Hammock coming up over the top. Mourning had position on him. And the foul goes against LSU, so it's Georgetown's ball. Hoyas trail it by 3 now.
Hammock has had some experience. He played on the European national team, so he's had an opportunity to play some basketball. Was their #1 scorer at 27 a game. He's down there with Mourning. Needs to do a lot of leaning on him.
Smith hits the iron. You know, if they held the draft tomorrow, here's what some folks tell me would be the first 5 picks in the lottery. Purvis Ellison, Louisville, Stacey King, Oklahoma, Danny Ferry, Duke, Sean Elliott, Arizona. And if he comes out, Derek Coleman. What's kind of interesting about that list is that not one of the 5 played for John Thompson on the United States Olympic team in a variety of reasons. Some didn't go out, some were injured, some were cut, but none were there. Oh, Jackson down the middle.
Against Alonzo Mourning. You know, he tries a lot of those layups when you watch him practicing by himself. Here it is. It's a triangle and 2. Jackson playing a little man-to-man. Tracy playing a little man. The others are playing a 3-man zone under the basket. John sees it. Wanted to set a solid screen to get Charles Smith open. Now, they've counted so much on him offensively.
Here comes Mourning. Now Mourning with 2 field goals in the second half.
And Hammock ought to be able to stop that play. It was right in his area.
Jackson back at the other end. Missing that time. Mourning off with a lead pass. Smith will run it down. He's got a man on the other side, but he traveled. I'm surprised he didn't give it up right away in the 2-on-1, Billy.
He really should have given that one up. It was a much easier play to make the pass than to try to take it himself. But he's got more than half of the points they've scored out here today.
Did you expect the game to be this close?
Not at all. Not at all. I really thought on paper Georgetown far superior club.
Nice job by the LSU Tigers here this afternoon.
Up pass.
Jackson, and it's rejected by Mourning. And back by Tracy, who's come off the bench for a great game.
He really has great instincts defensively.
He wrote a letter, as I mentioned in the first half, to Dale Brown, begged him for a tryout, and here he is this afternoon.
John, what Dale Brown has done to Georgetown now, with this change in defense, it's making John change everything he was doing offensively, because he recognized it's one of those strange defenses.
Jackson penetrates, hits the runner, total of 14 for the New Orleans product. 12:50 to go in regulation. Blanton back at the other end for LSU, and Sims losing control. It went out of bounds. Hoya's ball.
That was a pretty good catch by Sims when you consider that bounce pass was almost down at his ankle. Missouri having a struggle with Nebraska. Missouri, a good club, moving into that top 10 now. They played a very, very aggressive schedule.
Bryant returning for John Thompson in that backcourt with Smith.
You see what John's gone through now, a 1-3-1 type set, setting a solid screen up top, trying to break Mourning right down through the middle.
Sam Jefferson seeing some playing time. He's rotating on that baseline down there.
Mourning is going to set a screen on Tracy this time that won't quit, because Tracy got him with a little elbow coming across the top. Watch this.
Mourning's waiting.
That's an illegal screen.
With both arms out on his hips. Jefferson, offensive rebound, and Tracy is there defensively. Hoyas keep possession. Jackson back with the shot. Rattles out. Hoyas on the inside, and it was Mourning, and the foul goes against LSU.
You know, I think I'd let the sleeping dog lie. I don't believe if I was a little guy, I'd throw an elbow on him, because Mourning's starting to really get fired up for this game.
You know, Billy, it's interesting on that draft list, that hypothetical list we put up. A couple of scouts, I said to them, if Alonzo Mourning elected to come out after his freshman year, and there certainly is no indication that he intends to, but if he does, where would he be? Number one. Everybody says that because they feel he's a pure center, that you can work the inside eventually in the NBA. Jefferson.
Second time today that LSU's been killed on the out-of-bounds situation.
That's a 1-point LSU lead. Have been up to 5. They led once by 5 in the first half. Hoya's biggest lead in the first half was 6 points.
You can see the respect Georgetown has for Jackson's ball handling ability. They pull right back off of that press. Good double team. Now, this is something Georgia did very well.
Singleton. One of the things we notice now about Alonzo Mourning as the foul goes against Georgetown, notice that Mourning is not taking the fakes. Both Sims and Singleton in the first half were faking off the pass, and Mourning would rise up to block the shot. He's holding his ground here in the second half and sticking right with his smaller opponent. Singleton comes up to the line right now. 3 of Mourning's 5 blocks have come in the second half. He has 2 personal fouls in the game.
Brent, what I like about Alonzo Mourning, and I saw him in Olympic trials, and then, of course, as he proceeded almost to make the Olympic team, he is a real warrior. Great competitive spirit, kind of guy that wants to be on winning teams regardless of what his individual stats are.
Good test for him here this afternoon. A poor first half by his standards, and now he's battling back here in the second half.
It's a good move to pull him up top. Gives him an opportunity to come down that lane without a body on him. He wants that solid screen.
Bryant was open underneath before Singleton flashed in there, but Jackson elected not to try. No shot. No shot. It was waved off by the whistle. Tracy fouled him before he took the shot. So that's 2 fouls on Tracy. And that's 4 team fouls against LSU this half and 3 against Georgetown. So we'll take a timeout. We'll be right back to the Superdome in New Orleans. 4 of them in the second half. Smith has been their mainstay, and LSU leads it by 2. Billy, a question. If Georgetown is upset, who would you vote number 1?
With or without the upset, my number 1 pick's Louisville. I think they're playing better than anybody in the country right now, and I really like their ball club.
Well, I'll vote for Georgetown if they win.
All right, well, I'm kind of going against the tide. I realize that a little bit, but it's not the first time.
No, listen, I've talked to a lot of folks, Billy, who really think you might be right. Denny Crum, again, doing a fabulous job with Louisville. Purvis Ellison out of Savannah, Georgia, now a senior. Here is Smith coming back again.
Oh, Tracy is putting on a show.
Isn't he, though? Wants Jackson. What a pass. Through the foul. I can't believe he got the ball to him.
Boy, that was just a super bit of sportsmanship, too. Jackson made the great catch. Smith gets a piece of this ball. And watch Tracy battling inside. You talk about a kid that isn't even in the school brochure. He walked on at the last minute. Now watch Charles Smith gets a piece and then commits the foul, and then the 2 players go right after each other and shake hands. Interesting thing, Craig Estrick told me today when he went down to scout Jackson in high school, he said they did not start their practice until every player on the team missed a free throw. And he said, unfortunately for him, he had to wait 45 minutes so Jackson missed his first free throw. Made over 100 in a row. Wow. Kind of impressive, though, if you're taking a look at it. Particularly when you got a team that's shooting 63% from the line.
In one afternoon, a lot better. 57-53, LSU ahead.
Maybe Iowa could use him as their designated free throw shooter, right?
Mourning staying with it on the inside this time. Still no whistle. Now traveling is the call. Wow, I thought he was hacked on the inside.
I would agree, Brandon. Blanton did get a piece of the ball. Well, see, Blanton's block in here is legit. That was a good one, and that threw Alonzo off stride, but he got hammered in there pretty good a couple of times.
Great expression, wasn't it?
Oh, behind the back.
And gets it into Sims' hand. Missing off the fake, and there is Singleton, and he is fouled. Bryant commits his 4th personal foul of the game.
You know, we all are talking about Chris Jackson as a scorer, but when they get that complement of players next year to give them the size and the depth, his passing ability is really going to come to the front. Of course, the leading scorer in the history of the NCAA, Petey Maravich, everybody thinks about his scoring, but probably the thing that he did better than anything is pass the ball.
Also into the game,
I'm sort of surprised that they used Jackson to inbound the ball. Billy, I'm sure that Dale has a good reason for it. I would think he'd want somebody with a little more size underneath, but maybe he's such a good passer he gets it into somebody's hands and then comes back and takes a receive and maybe he shoots right away.
Yeah, I think that they're looking for him to come back out from out of bounds and get the shot.
Wow. Nails the 3 and he's fouled. Is he something?
Never changes the expression on his face. He's got unlimited range on the jump shot. Consummate team player, and never comes out of a game. You know, they're averaging 39 minutes a game while these starters. He's going to sell some tickets.
Can't sell any more than they did.
Well, to give you an idea, LSU this year, season ticket sales were down about 2,000 before the season started. Now you can't get a seat anywhere when they play. And they're still in that
that defense that Dale said, hey, what do you want to do, guys? 3 playing his zone.
And they built their biggest lead of the game with it. 61-53. We're inside of 10 minutes now.
Tracy again.
Saved that one. Blanton got it from going out of bounds after Tracy forced it. Sims. Singleton. Julie Jackson. Tracy's underneath. How about this hustling LSU team? Drawing another foul. I want you to see Blanton, number 33. He's here in the left corner. Watch him dive to save this ball.
He's some handball player, wouldn't he? You know, he's the guy that we talked about this before the game, Brent. I think he's the kind of guy the NBA teams ought to take a quick look at.
Back at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. More than 66,000 tickets sold, and next year, if they buy a ticket for an LSU game, the fellow in the aqua shirt is 7-foot Stanley Roberts, not playing, academically ineligible, but he figures to be one of the tougher big men in college basketball starting next year. So put the big man down on the inside, Chris Jackson on the outside, and you've got the making of a terrific team. Sims is only a sophomore. Singleton's a freshman.
Singleton in foul trouble in that first half has really come on to do a great job on the boards here in the second.
9:24. Stamina is going to be the big question for LSU as North Carolina comes up with the win. Jackson from the outside. 16 points for Jaren Jackson. And more great basketball headed your way tomorrow. The Lakers and the Mavericks at 1 Eastern time. The NBA on CBS.
You notice Kareem had his biggest scoring day of the year the other night.
And to Sims. Jackson again. Missing. Blanton with a hand, and there is Tracy. He travels.
Well, you can't fault him for effort on that play, though. He's blocking out on the inside. He just couldn't get his hands on the ball.
Coach Thompson will try his son right now, the freshman, Ronnie Thompson, the 6'4" guard wearing number 30. Hasn't handled the ball yet. We'll point him out to you. And jump hook by Mourning. Singleton was going to commit goaltending and thought better of it, and the ball went in. 65-57. Tracy bringing it up on the coach's son right now.
Now they're going to a much tougher man-to-man defense. The Georgetown pressure we know of coming to the front now.
And here it is. And right away they get a layup off of that pressure.
I think it's a good timeout situation for Dale Brown. He does take one. Georgetown turned it up a notch.
Here comes the pressure by Georgetown.
Brent, they really turned it up a notch that last time down the floor. Here's where
they forced the turnover. He traveled. Blanton turned it over, and the Hoyas on a bit of a run because of that pressure defense. 65-59, 8:22. LSU has turned it over 3 times in the last minute. Jackson gets inside, rises up above everybody, and they're making him pay the price now for these mistakes.
And you notice they're not guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds. Here's where Jackson has taken over some games so far this year. They need to get the ball in his hands and let him go a little one-on-one.
Ronnie Thompson is out. Winston and Tillman are now there. Winston gambled, didn't get it. Blanton short on the shot. Sims can't tap it up and in. Here is Tillman out, and it winds up in Tracy's hand. Now Singleton. Good bank shot.
You know, Tracy's not going to show up much in the scoring stats today, but he has been the man that's met the challenge each and every time on the defensive end. And here he is. He's guarding Smith. Jackson playing a little one-man zone out in top. They're back to the 2-3 matchup now.
I have a copy of the letter that he sent Dale Brown. If I get an opportunity, I'll read you a couple of sentences from it.
And John Thompson asking for grabbing the arm. Tracy has been able to come around from the backside. You almost always get a foul on that play, but he's getting away with it.
There's Tillman, who was open underneath. On the inbound pass, they work another easy field goal.
3 on the out-of-bounds situation.
4-point lead. Here comes Sims on the inside. Jackson blocked it. He comes back and hits. So Sims, who has been relatively quiet, now with 22 points for the game, but 18 of them were scored in the first half.
Jackson spending too much time moving around defensively. He's got to remember who the shooters are.
Timmy Smith, a nice offensive player. 4-point lead again. And foul is called against Georgetown.
And that's intentional. He's called intentional, which will be 2 shots and the ball. John really upset with that one. This is a big call.
John didn't realize it was intentional. Did you see him turn on that when the camera was on him? John just thought it was a bad call, and he just didn't know it was intentional.
I think it was a very bad call. What happened? Tracy tried to break away from Tillman, and Tillman just put his arm out there. Very unusual call of a... But you can see what a penalty it is, Brent. You get 2 shots and the ball out of bounds. Now you got to say this is an intentional foul right here. I think Tillman just trying to get back on defense. He got hooked in his arm there, but I don't think in any way, shape, or form he was intentionally trying to grab the man.
We get it into Tracy's hands.
I'd like to get it into Jackson's hands, but Smith doing a good job against him.
They double up on Jackson. To Blanton on the side, out of bounds, and it goes over. And Dale Brown uses one of his remaining 3 timeouts. Dale will have 2 timeouts left, and John only 1 with 6:30 to go. Basketball, LSU over Georgetown, 71-65. 6.5 minutes to go. Georgetown's ball following the turnover.
They go man-to-man. It's Tracy on Smith.
Jackson bangs in 2 more, total 20 for the game.
Singleton.
71-67.
Singleton doing a sharp job on defense, and they still score. Now, what Dale Brown's going to do now is try to get Jackson away from bringing the ball up the court.
Foul against the Hoyas. That was Tillman on Tracy. I mentioned that letter he sent. Billy, I have it here. Even with intensity, I may not be able to score 30 points and win games for you, but I can promise you, Coach, that I will contribute every day with effort and intensity. Coach Brown, I learned back in high school that with desire, effort, heart, that you can accomplish anything. With the attitude, I have been able to accomplish many things. However, it seems now that I have come to the end of the road, and all I ask you for, Coach, is just a chance. Dale was so moved by the letter that he invited the young man out to practice, and Dennis Tracy may be the key man in this game. 6 rebounds this afternoon for LSU, 3 assists. 4 points, misses a big free throw right there. 6 minutes on the clock. 4-point LSU lead.
Good help by Blanton that time, realizing that Smith was clear. Using Alonzo Mourning as a screener right at the top of the key.
Thompson back in the game. Great pass to Smith. And a foul is against Blanton.
Boy, that was a smart play by Blanton. He just couldn't get there in time. Good backdoor cut. Blanton came all the way across the lane. Now watch how far Blanton comes over. He recognizes what's going to happen. He steps over, doesn't get there quite in time, but had the right idea. 83% free throw shooter. Kid has really got ice water in his veins. I mentioned last year, Brent, talking to kids in the Big East tournament, the one guy they didn't want to see have the ball in his hands at the end of the game in the whole league was Charles Smith. You see, they've broken Jackson down the other end, hoping that it can get him open for a little one-on-one action.
Here comes Jackson.
He gets fouled. And this is where he's so tough. Brent, you reeled it off before, the number of games this year that he has taken over. Maryland, Kentucky, Florida. He's just great going down the stretch.
Who does he remind you of? Well, I'll throw out one name for everybody to consider as he steps up to the free throw line. And that's the former great, as Bryant checks in. Chris Jackson reminds me of Tiny Archibald.
Tiny Archibald. Tiny seemed to be more of a slasher than this guy. This guy reminds me of Calvin Murphy. He's missing those free throws.
Calvin Murphy would have never missed a free throw.
That's for sure. What was it? 92% or something like that as an NBA player.
Great free throw shooter.
Boy, Singleton doing a good job on defense. He's got 4 fouls on him. And Blanton really shutting down Alonzo Mourning, so it's just like we're back in the NCAA tournament again.
Mourning gets it right back. And foul is called against Tracy. Well, a reminder of what's ahead of us tonight on CBS. Dolphin Cove, the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, and West 57. That's tonight following the local and the network news coming your way on CBS. Here this afternoon, if you just joined us, we've got 5 minutes to go. Ball out of bounds off Georgetown, wasn't it?
Oh, no, wait a minute. They made a mistake on that. Sure, it's Georgetown. Blanton threw it off Bryant's leg.
Goes to LSU. LSU leading the Hoyas 71-69, but the Tigers were up by 10 short time ago, and the Hoyas' defensive pressure got them back in the game.
I think it's smart to let Blanton bring it up.
Here's Singleton. He drew the foul on Mourning. He'll step to the free throw line.
See, what happens here, Brent, when you let Blanton bring it up, even with the double teams, he can throw over the top. When you have a smaller man like Tracy and even Jackson, they're having a hard time getting the ball over the top of the double teams. Blanton gets a good look, and Singleton takes it to the hoop.
Now, LSU has missed the front end of its last 2 1-and-1s down here at the free throw line. Singleton with a pair. Boy, they are really off.
Well, Singleton coming in, 84% free throw shooter's got a good stroke.
Misses both. That's 4 in a row. They have missed at the free throw line
by good free throwers.
Jackson 3. And at the 4:37 mark, the Hoyas lead 72-71 for Jackson. 23 points. Timeout in the Dome. Well, welcome to those of you who just watched BYU defeat Wichita State. I'm Brent Musburger with Billy Packer here in New Orleans, and Georgetown coming back against Dale Brown.
I mean, man-to-man defense. You hang in there. We got one more timeout left, okay? One more. Are we going to win it? Dennis, Burnell, Chris, are we going to win it? Take over, huh, baby? Come on, Chris. Come on, guys.
And you know who he pointed to, Brent, when he said take over? That was Chris Jackson. Is that putting the load on a freshman?
He has scored 23 points here so far, and this is Jackson, for those of you who are watching the BYU-Wichita State game. He's number 35, magnificent creative shooter. The Hoyas have been watching every step of the way. They double him, and they get it back to Sims and right back into the hands of Jackson. Down the stretch, it'll be the Jackson show. Sims has it rejected. This is Alonzo Mourning.
And Dale Brown also in that timeout said the club is getting too passive offensively, and when you get passive, you're a much easier team to defend, and that's what's happening to them.
Now the Hoyas with Bryant, Winston, Smith, Mourning, and Jackson.
John Thompson likes to use Bobby Winston in this case. That's going to be short.
Jackson put him ahead with a 3. Now here's Singleton. Jackson's on his left, and the foul is on Smith.
That's a good play, not an intentional foul. Smith going for it. Intentional has nothing to do with the severity of the act.
Dale Brown wanting an intentional foul. Singleton is down in pain. Brown unhappy.
No, but Dale is wrong in this particular case because Charles Smith, hard-nosed kid, went right after the ball. That is not an intentional foul. Now watch him come right across going after the ball. See that? He almost made an incredible steal. Singleton's ankle bothering him. He's got to come out of there, so now Dale Brown's got to go to another free throw shooter. You'll see the play again. Now watch Charles Smith going right for the ball. The difference in an intentional would be if he went for the body and didn't try to play defense on the ball.
Timeouts. Each team with one remaining. In case of a jump ball, LSU would have possession. Now Mouton, coming off the bench, will step to the free throw line to replace Singleton.
Really hurts Dale Brown in this respect, although he makes the free throws. His team is really small out there with Singleton out of the game. Playing with three guards, Tracy, Jackson, and Mouton. Blanton and Sims up front.
And Mouton off the bench hits both in a one-on-one situation. It is Singleton's right ankle which is receiving that tape. 3:40 to go. On the strength of the Mouton free throws, LSU up by a point, 73-72.
Why the matchup works is Georgetown really has gone with four guards and Alonzo Mourning.
Score it and put Jaren Jackson on the line. 25 points for Jackson.
Well, as high as 38 against Seton Hall, the last regular season game last year. Shows what an explosive scorer he can become, and this year he's been so much more consistent because John has given him the shot to be that wingman that gets involved so much offensively.
Great homecoming for Jackson, isn't it? Walter Cone High School here in New Orleans.
Well, between the three Georgetown players from New Orleans, they have about 60 or 70 people here watching today. Family I'm talking about.
2-point Hoya lead, 3.5 minutes to go.
I think if Dale Brown takes a look at this, he can stay with that three guards that he's got out there. Great defense by Charles Smith. He's just keeping the ball away from Jackson. They may have to set a screen to get him open.
And Jackson jumped out on the double team. Now they move to Mouton. Cross the floor to Tracy. They're leaving him alone. Here's Blanton. Blanton with a jump shot. No call. Sims goes up, and Mourning fouled him.
By spreading out Georgetown, you see Sims, who's so quick to the ball. Now, I'm not going to put him in the class of Charles Barkley, but he reminds you a little bit about Barkley with that bulk, how quickly he can get to the ball.
4 fouls on Mourning. Singleton returns after getting that ankle tape. And Tillman checks in for the Hoyas.
Shooting 1-1 for the Tigers, number 44.
Billy, what's the foul situation? Well, there it is.
Well, Tracy, who has done an incredible job. Singleton, Sims, who's played the entire second half with 3, and Jackson, who did not pick up another one. On the other side, John is so deep with talent it really doesn't hurt him. Long.
Singleton winds up with it, comes back, and goes down hard again.
But possession of the ball would have been more important than putting it up. Singleton really limping. And Johnson is going to spread things out. Remember, Tracy has 4 fouls on him, but he's going to have to just go and keep playing Smith tight.
Jackson. Jammed in by Alonzo Mourning. 7 of his 9 points to make it 8 of his 9 here in the second half.
3-point shot. It's got to get Jackson the ball somehow.
Sims hits the field goal, and there's a foul underneath.
Basket's got to count. I'm wondering if it's against Jackson hitting Jaren Jackson.
Foul to number 24.
And when we conclude this basketball game, we'll send you out for third-round coverage of the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. Leaderboard starting to back up in that tournament. 3-way tie right now.
Brett, that was on Singleton. That's his 5th. That may be a blessing for Dale Brown, though, because he comes back with Mouton. It gives him the 3 guards, and he needs some outside threat. Solid game for a freshman who's going to have a fine career at LSU. Excellent defender, leaps well.
Sims pulls down the missed free throw. LSU can tie at this trip. That's the time remaining. Jackson. Put him on the line.
The kid is special. Bryant is a great defender. And watch what Jackson does to him. He gets him on his hip and glides it right on through. And no emotion. When you watch him shoot around in practice, that unlimited range and that great wrist snap of his, even though he was getting bodied, he still had the ability to keep that ball in control with his wrist.
And the kid puts him ahead, 78-77, 2:07 remaining.
And now with a pretty good matchup, Blanton playing Alonzo Mourning, doing an incredible job on him today, and they've got guards against guards.
Here's the other Jackson. And he is fouled. That was Sims. So Jaren Jackson, with 26 points, steps up to the free throw line, and the Hoyas trailing by 1 at the 1:45 mark.
Fred, this is a tough defense, a tough offense to handle because you have Alonzo Mourning setting these screens and 4 guards that can handle the ball so well coming off the bench.
More tickets sold for this college basketball game than any in history. 66,000 plus. And they've enjoyed a good one. Jackson missed that one. Knocked back into the hands of Smith.
That was Bobby Winston. Fellow right here. Excellent team field general. Good passer. Hard to double team him because of his size. Going to straight 4 corners now. Change again.
Been some great memories here in the Superdome in terms of college basketball. Keith Smart of Indiana, Michael Jordan of North Carolina. Championship games that have unfolded here this decade in the Dome.
Place has been great for CBS.
Smith won't go down. He hustles after it in the corner and gets it away from Sims at the 1-minute mark. Each coach down to his last timeout.
Got a 15-second differential, clock and shot clock, so LSU will get the ball back at least once. Straight 4 corners.
Smith is their clutch shooter. Jackson's been the hot hand today, and Mouton fouled him.
You know, Brent, here's the case where I think a team that goes 4 corners on you, instead of getting spread out man-to-man, pull everything back. If you're not going to go press them, pull everything back to the foul line so they can't get that breakaway on you. And let the clock work in your favor as opposed to it being your enemy.
Singleton's ankle must really be bothering him because as he fouled out and the other fellas over there on the bench can't come in. So with Singleton out with fouls, it's such a small lineup. Doesn't matter anyway as Jackson hit the free throw.
It has been a great homecoming for this man. There's Dale Brown with Coach Abernathy. He's been with him for 14 years.
Oh, a big rebound. But Mourning comes back, Blanton off with it, and with 34 seconds to go, the foul against the Hoyas, and Ricky Blanton will come up to the other end.
Now there's one of those freshman mistakes. Alonzo grabs the rebound. All they want is possession of the ball. They had the 1-point lead. He tried a scoop shot that just wasn't in the cards.
The senior leader, Ricky Blanton, comes to the free throw line, shooting 1 and 1, and the Tigers down to the Hoyas by a point.
Well, they came back and beat Georgia, and Blanton didn't even take a shot in the second half.
He ties
Dale Brown's going to stay in man-to-man.
LSU leads by a point. 34 seconds to go.
Got clock off.
John has that one timeout. Now he wants it. Now Thompson will use his last timeout. The way he was looking at Charles Smith, he's going to be a big player when you come back. 4 seconds to go. Georgetown's ball, and just a moment ago, Dale Brown talking to his team.
Ricky, you got to throw the penalty. You got to step out. Hey, don't let them get a second shot, all right? Because they're going to shoot to try to win it. We get the ball, we go home, unless we can intercept it. I got a feeling we might intercept it. Hey, help each other. If they score, tell them we want a timeout.
Norman Vincent Peale never ran a huddle any better. The power of positive thinking. I think we're going to intercept it. Here comes the main man. Smith is up with his shot. He was fouled by Tracy.
Charles Smith really caught at a tough angle there, and Dale Brown told his club that it would be Smith or Jackson that would take the shot. Charles Smith's going to come up off the floor and shoot these fouls, believe me. He is tough as nails. He felt a little contact and then went to the floor. That's all for Tracy, isn't it, Brent? I think that's his fifth.
Yeah, you're right, Billy. It is.
You see, he caught him right there. Smitty, look at the concentration on Smitty. On the way down, his head's still watching the flight of the ball.
So Tracy will leave the game, and Russell Grant getting ready to check in for the first time. LSU does have a timeout remaining.
Number 22, Russell Grant.
Going to use it to try to ice Charles Smith. Now, I don't know. I think I'd have let him on the line because he's injured a little bit. Make him shoot it right away.
He scored 31 points here this afternoon, and he's 6 of 7 from the free throw line. I would guess that the one player you really have a tough time icing is Charles Smith. He is Mr. Cool, and we'll be back to see him at the line in a moment.
Hey, I got a feeling he's going to miss. I got a feeling. I got a feeling. No timeout. No timeout.
Gotta believe. At the free throw line today, Georgetown 11 of 21, only 52%. But Charles Smith shooting far better than that. He's missed only one, and he's hit 6 for John Thompson. So he steps up. And now, over at the scorer's table,
They thought they're waiting for us to come back, Brent, but we're already here.
I guess they don't realize that we are back out of commercial. Now they get the signal, and away we go. Smith was all ready to pull the trigger. He was lined up. So he'll start concentrating all over again. Doesn't get the roll. Needs the second one to tie it for Thompson. We're tied at 80. 20 seconds to go. LSU's ball. They'll try to get it into Chris Jackson's hands. Mouton gets it over to the freshman sensation, and here he comes against Smith. They triple team him. Somebody's open underneath. He keeps the dribble.
He's looking for a foul. Doesn't get it.
The shot short up to Glenn. He hits it at the buzzer with 1 second. LSU wins it. LSU wins it.
Russell Grant, who just came
Lewis from LSU. The High Point men. A check in the amount of $1,000 is donated to each school's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in their chosen field of endeavor. Well, that wraps it up for James Brown and Billy Packer. I'm Brett